was on the catering committee, and our catering actually started very early in the piece. Our first run was actually catering for the big um, auction sale they had, and we catered for about 300 people. Afternoon tea went off very well. We went from there to a music hall. The first music hall was a dinner, a settlers dinner of uh, the usual mutton and potatoes, etc. Gave me a few headaches because of the stoves. The stoves blew a few of the lights. We managed to overcome it eventually, and the second one went off without any hitches at all a week later. Previous to both those, we had an afternoon for the senior citizens. The thing I remember most about that was not so much the catering part, but as they left in their bus, all the girls and the boys still in their uniforms and their long dresses, waving and singing "So long, it's been good to know you." We went on from there and had a final musical at the end of July with a dessert supper, which was a really great effort. Most people were up till very late in the morning. And then into the catering properly for the Centennial itself. The first was another music hall with a wine and cheese. And I missed out one. The previous week we had a wine and cheese and a dessert supper on the Sunday night, and then into the Friday night with the wine and cheese. And a great crowd of over 300, about 320 there that night. On the Saturday it was all go with afternoon tea for an estimated 550, a children's and seniors citizens party of 110, everyone thoroughly enjoying themselves. The dinner was a very big effort with an estimated 530, a lovely meal put on by Raceway caterers, and following that was the supper for the ball. At the supper there was just over 300 people. Once again a great effort by everyone, and we finished the weekend with a barbecue for over 500 people. The boys did a great job there with their cooking efforts, and even though there was a hold up of about half an hour between the two lots of food, it all went off very well. Everyone enjoyed themselves, I think, had plenty to eat. It was my privilege to be making the cake for the whole celebration. I made 3 12-inch cakes, each cake weighing 20 pounds. The actual making of the cakes wasn't a worry, but the icing later in the period of time became quite a concern. It took me 36 hours to decorate it and to keep the grandchildren away from it. I put kowais and clematis on, with the bridge leading from the one cake with 1886 on it to the other cake with 1986. I felt that showed the span between the 2 centuries. The third cake, also with kowai and clematis, I had taken the quail from the butter wrapper and put on that. I felt the kowai and clematis is one of the few things that has never changed from one century to the other, and I felt it was only was a good thing to put onto the cake in that respect. I was quite relieved eventually when the cake was cut by Mrs. Sands, who is 92 years old. She had originally lived here in the district. She was a Miss Halls, had married a Duffy Rule, and they had the butcher's shop here. She returned to be with all her friends here at Rangi for the centenary.
Right from the start, when the idea of the Ngaire making the cake was mooted, there seemed to be a sort of a tension built up, in that it was a new project, it would appear to be a fairly ambitious project, and plans were made and discussed on numerous occasions as to the final setup, and it was agreed in the finish that perhaps Kauai and tomatoes would be the thing. And each time I came in from work at some various time of the day, it'd be, well, what do you think about this? Is this a good idea? And then I'd say, well, perhaps it wants altering a little bit, and then that'd set Mum off on the other foot a little bit. But eventually we sort of finished up with a fairly satisfactory arrangement that everything looked in order, and the thing was set up on the table finally, and everybody had to keep well away because of the fragility of the whole setup. And finally, when it came time to shift the cake down to the marquee, this was quite an episode also, having to be so careful with such fragile material. But it got finally set up in the marquee successfully, and the evening being as it was,